What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. I'm not going to identify who I'm talking about, but this is a person. Shout out to the subscriber that sent this information to me. This is a person that supposedly is a basketball expert. All right, supposedly a great basketball expert, great at scouting talent. NBA. Okay, so they left a tweet saying that James Harden has a higher career field goal percentage than Bill Russell, who a lot of people like to pick on. Look, now I'm not the biggest Bill Russell fan, but I do think sometimes it gets a little overstated as to how he's supposedly this bad fucking player. The reason why I got uh, Russell Westbrook in this picture as well because I remember someone posting, and people posted this like to make some stupid point. At one point during the season, and I think during the season, Russell Westbrook had a higher field goal percentage than Steph Curry. Now, I don't know if they ended that way, but at one point during the season, he had a higher field goal percentage than Steph Curry, which is very misleading because Steph Curry, look, when you look at how much the defense focuses on Steph Curry, the degree of difficulty in some of the shots he takes, as we witnessed last night in that stellar performance in the first quarter. You look at the types of shots he takes, which are three-pointers. Last time I checked, 46 plus, I think 46% of his shots are three-pointers for his career. So he takes a lot of threes. He takes a lot of perimeter shots, as opposed to Russell Westbrook, who takes more mid-range and shots in the paint and bricks them. All right? He bricks them. So, to be honest with you, when you consider the type of shots that Russell Westbrook is taking, he should be more around 47, 48% than even that low. So that's not saying much. So let me say this about comparing James Harden to Bill Russell. Well, first of all, Bill Russell was never noted for being an offensive player. Never. Even when he was in college, he was never noted for being an offensive player. That was the worst part of his game. What he was great at was being an instinctive player, having one of the highest basketball IQs in the history of the game, being a great athlete and a great rebounder, and especially a defensive rebounder, a shot blocker, and perhaps the greatest defensive player this game has ever seen, especially in his prime, 1957 to 65, or 63, 64, when he was able to guard literally all five positions. Now, I'm not trying to take up for him, but we have to remember something. Field goal percentages were a lot lower back then for a reason. Some of it had to do with the fact that, look, shooting was not as great as it and as refined as it is today. That's part of it, yes. But also you got to remember how the game was played back then. So you can't just post stupid stats like that and not it's irresponsible. You got to explain yourself. First of all, field goal percentages were much lower back then than compared to today. I think the average field goal percentage was, I think when he got in the league, Bill Russell, it might have been 39%. It was much lower. For most of his career, Bill Russell, it was 42, 43%. It didn't start really going up until the very end of Bill Russell's career. Then you got to look at the fact that there was no three-point line. There was no three-point line. So you don't have guys just hanging around the perimeter. What the fuck for it? It's just worth 2 points. And there's no three-point line. So most players were closer to the paint. So the spacing wasn't as good. And as a consequence, you know, field goal percentages were lower. And then for the first, 8 years, 7 years of his career, The lanes were narrower, so it was a lot. It was just more difficult for one particular player to dominate offensively, um, unless you were Will Chamberlain. And even when you're Will Chamberlain, he didn't shoot a very very high percentage at first, 46%, 48%, because of the way the game was played. It wasn't until defenses became a little bit more lax, late '60s onward, including the center position. Guys could do more things, lean their shoulders into players without being called for an offensive foul. The lanes widened, which gave the players more room to maneuver and do certain shit in the paint. So it became easier for them to score. So that's why after 65, you look at the field goal percentages, they all began to rise dramatically. Will Chamberlain finally, I think 62 was the first year he shot 50% from the floor. By the time he was with the Sixers, he's at 54%, 55%. When he's with the Lakers, he's over. Now he's taking fewer shots to give you, but by that time he was in the 60s. A lot of those other guys, their field goal percentages started going up. Even John Havlicek's, who was in the 30s, 37%, 38% early in his career. By the 70s, even though he was a jump shooter, mid-range jump shooter, outside shooter, 44, 45, 46%. So anyway, my point is, we got to get more detailed about these things. You can't just go out there and throw a percentage around and like you're making some point. I'm making some grand point. It's stupid. Like I said, even with LeBron James, yes, he shoots 50.6% for his career. Um, that doesn't mean he's a great shooter. Okay. Larry Bird has a lower career field goal percentage, 49.6%, but he's a better shooter. Most of LeBron's points come in the paint. So, you got to look at these things a little bit deeper than some of these blanket, stupid stats people point. But what you guys think?